Let's move on to today's events. We received the certificate of completion for the construction. Igor Nikolaevich received it, signed for it, and brought it here. The next step was to process the permit for commissioning the building. And this is why I always say, don't get ahead of yourself, don't rush to analyze or do something, and don't try to predict the future. Why? Because before you would submit an application, it would be thoroughly reviewed, and if there were no comments, you'd promptly get approval. If there were any comments, you'd be given sufficient time to fix them. That's precisely how it used to be. And now they've added this. If you haven't registered ownership, if you haven't entered it into the registry, you get a refusal instead of a permit for commissioning. Why was this done? Previously, you could put a building into operation and then register ownership. Many people took advantage of this. Why? Because you don't have to pay property tax on an unfinished construction project. That's why this new rule was introduced. And if, first of all, we hadn't strictly followed the established rules and regulations, we would have been unequivocally refused and our application denied. But since experience, even if difficult, teaches us something, we submitted the application well in advance and registered the unfinished construction project in the registry so that it would be easier to handle later. Now, we have successfully submitted an application to update the official registry for the recently completed construction project, but this is truly just a simple change of status for an existing object. This particular process is somewhat simpler indeed. Therefore, an application has been submitted to the registry, and an application has been filed to obtain the conclusion and the permit for commissioning. Or rather, for commissioning itself. We are waiting. The documents have been accepted and their status is under review. As of today, there is no additional comprehensive information available yet. Colleagues, we have successfully brought this important project to a certain significant stage, and we absolutely must continue to diligently move it forward with all our efforts. We are currently waiting for either the commissioning permit or for comments. We'll just see what happens at this moment. Let's not make any further predictions. And we will certainly take further necessary steps accordingly. As for other significant projects, like Sovelmash, it is indeed too early to discuss anything substantial, neither the precise structure, nor the intricate interactions, nor anything else of real consequence. Because believe me, throughout the entire implementation of this project, you clearly saw how many rules changed along the way. We planned based on one specific set of conditions, and then those very conditions changed. The economy changed, indeed everything changed. The overall global attitude changed. Everything truly got mixed up like that. Nevertheless, we are steadfastly moving forward. That's precisely why we've reached this crucial stage where this project is now starting to develop and actively generate revenue. It is implied that we are carrying out the reorganization, going through all the stages we agreed upon and reaching the revenue phase. Then we can start discussing the Sovelmash project and the ways to implement and finance it. Thank you. Any questions?
How are the engines for Motylek? Are they already assembled, manufactured?
The parts are currently being prepared. They are being manufactured. Believe me, the engine for the Motylek, the one we had before and the one we have now, are two very different things. Right now, it's undergoing testing in the lab. They're recording its equivalent circuit parameters for the control program on the controller, because this is a controller we're making ourselves. For now, we'll be flying it with the Chinese one, but this one is ours. And the engine has undergone significant design changes, including the electromagnetic system, which allows us to get more output and greater efficiency from it within the same dimensions. That's why there was no point in continuing with the old solution. The old solution has been discontinued. Well, Korolev also used to remove the rocket from the launch pad at the start, right? It's the same here. Because the experience we've gained has allowed us to achieve much better results, so to speak. And that's thanks to the adoption of mass production technologies. We were able to analyze the results we obtained from previous models, so now we have a wealth of accumulated experience, statistical data, and technological capabilities. Thank you.
We've already touched on this question partially, but nevertheless. Tell us about the commissioning procedure. What needs to be done? How much time is allocated for preparation, for inspection, and other details?
We diligently spent the entire time we had during the brief pause, while patiently waiting for the comprehensive architectural and urban planning solution, on thorough preparation. We were actively preparing all the necessary documents then. The only crucial thing we were truly missing was the essential architectural and urban planning solution. We simply didn't have the official certificate of completion for the entire construction project. There was absolutely no registration of ownership for the newly completed construction project, specifically within the Rosriester system. These were precisely the critical documents we unfortunately lacked. As soon as we successfully received them, we promptly sent them off without any delay. We're waiting for a response. Well, I think at the beginning of next week we'll either get approval or some comments.
What other options were there besides this technology?
I could list many examples indeed, but is it truly worth doing, in point of fact? Because there were quite a substantial number of really interesting and engaging projects. For example, right now, we currently have a significant chance to launch an important project to meticulously create our very own advanced battery. Is it truly possible to successfully do this?
It is.
But in terms of impact on society, batteries or asynchronous motors, which has a greater effect?
Motors, definitely.
Definitely motors.
But batteries are interesting too.
Well, controllers and batteries, these are all intrinsically related and can certainly be developed further. But you see, the fundamental thing is, you simply can't keep developing endlessly, from one stage to another. You can always do better and better, but at some crucial point, you have to stop. Enough, let's make a product. Want to keep improving? Go right ahead. But once you've truly started mass production, making any significant improvements becomes very difficult because it invariably requires substantial additional costs.
What is the thrust of the new engine for the Motylek?
Look, so, the engine inherently possesses a fundamental characteristic known as torque. This is a primary and crucial aspect of its operational capability, representing the rotational force it generates. Secondly, the crucial thing is that the battery's capacity, the engine's overall capabilities, the controller's precise capabilities, and the propeller's operational capabilities all truly need to be harmoniously and perfectly balanced. This powerful engine allows us to consistently deliver an impressive 200 Newton meters of continuous torque, specifically in the demanding 1-hour C1 mode. And with this specially designed propeller, that's a substantial 200 kilograms of direct thrust. But right now, the issue is with the controller and the battery. That's precisely why we should probably take some time to talk about the entire and comprehensive drive system. The drive itself should be carefully configured, always depending on the specific and unique task it ultimately needs to accomplish. And the engine itself, it can actually handle even more power. In terms of its overload capacity, it can deliver well over 100 kilowatts. But for that, you would need the appropriate controller, which unfortunately doesn't exist yet. Not even a suitable Chinese one. Thank you very much.
Am I correct that the only thing holding back the angle grinder from going on sale is the lack of approval for commissioning?
It's not just that. The thing is, the Chinese have made our work a bit more complicated. We've encountered this more than once already. Right now, we're dealing with the legacy left by the Chinese, so to speak. And on top of that, there are still some specific technological processes that we currently perform entirely manually, or in some particular cases, the necessary equipment simply hasn't arrived yet. For example, the crucial process of casting the rotor with molten aluminum, the specialized mold for the angle grinder production, hasn't been delivered to us at this moment. Just today, literally, the guys have filmed it, and they will post the video. We are currently loading the impregnation station, specifically the vacuum impregnation process for the electrical windings. We carefully poured in a bit of varnish, then filled it with 900 liters. There too, commissioning and certain works were carried out. Here at this specific moment in time, we wanted to get a supply of ethylene glycol. We do have ethylene glycol readily available at the station, located within the cooling center facility. However, upon closer inspection, it was unfortunately observed that it pulled out a noticeable amount of dirt and various contaminants. Consequently, due to this undesirable contamination, we would much prefer not to use it for our current needs and critical operations. So now we've ordered new ethylene glycol to fill the unit for heating the varnish. There are 2 circuits there, one for cooling, the other for heating, so it needs to be filled with ethylene glycol. I thought ours was fine, but it turns out it's not. So we need to buy more, fill it up, and then this technological process will be launched. And accordingly, we'll give it a try, because soaking 2 to 3 stators at a time in a small tank just doesn't work. But here, we'll be able to load 50 to 100 stators at once, soak them, and then dry them. We've installed 2 cabinets over there. The commissioning has already been done, and now we're going to try working with them. Once all these technological processes are fully up and running, then we'll be able to start serial production. And now we've taken another step, because we have cardboard packaging lying around. This is for selling directly to the consumer, the end user. At the same time, a considered decision has been made to purchase durable plastic cases so that we can carefully put protective foam polyethylene inserts inside, allowing the powerful angle grinder and its essential accessories to be securely placed in the case for convenient and safe transport. And for our valued dealers, so they can easily come and effectively demonstrate them, showcasing their full capabilities and benefits with utmost professionalism. Because after 2 visits or demonstrations, a cardboard box will turn into, well, you know what I mean. Thank you. So, colleagues, here's something else. After receiving the conclusion on the completion of construction in the 4th quarter, we will need to... Oh, construction. Sorry, I meant commissioning. I've started rambling. So, after obtaining the permit for commissioning, we will need to take 2 important actions. First, we need to start financial and business operations and generate our first income. Because if we don't have any income, naturally, we can't claim the right to purchase the land. So, we have some very interesting steps ahead of us. We had to make sure that shipments were made in the shortest possible time, and not just mere shipments, but also to achieve actual sales. So, the task at hand was very serious, and certainly not easy, because a lot of effort and many things needed to be done for this. That's why we were building up inventory in the warehouse of the components for the processes we had mastered. We immediately started production, making products and parts to cut down on time. So we have some interesting events ahead of us. As soon as there is any news or fresh information, it will be communicated immediately. No one will hold anything back.